The evening was quiet in the heart of the city. People moved fast across the streets, their eyes fixed on phones, their minds heavy with deadlines, and their hearts locked in their own worlds. Yet, among all this noise, there was a silence that no one noticed. A silence sitting in the corner of a street, wrapped in an old blanket, shivering under the cold wind. A man with tired eyes and a face marked by years of struggle. No one gave him more than a passing glance. At that moment, a car slowed down near the corner. The door opened gently, and Keanu Reeves stepped out. His presence was calm, almost invisible to those who rushed past him. He wore simple clothes, nothing that screamed fame or wealth, nothing that revealed he was the star adored across the world. He carried himself with quiet humility, blending into the crowd as if he was just another man in the city. Ana de Armas was walking a few steps behind him. She had been speaking to him about a new project earlier that day, but now she noticed something change in his expression. His eyes were not on the glowing signs or the traffic lights. They were fixed on the figure sitting by the wall, the man no one else seemed to see. Without a word, Keanu slowed his steps. Ana stopped too, confused at first, wondering why he was pausing in the middle of the busy path. Then she followed his gaze and saw the homeless man. Something in her chest tightened. She had seen poverty before, but the way Keanu stood there, the way his silence carried weight, made her realize he was seeing more than just a stranger. He was seeing a life. Keanu walked toward the man. No cameras, no flashes, no audience to applaud him. It was only him, the quiet figure on the ground, and the wind moving through the city. Ana watched carefully, her breath caught in her throat. He knelt down slowly, lowering himself to the man's level. The city rushed behind them, but here time seemed to stop. The homeless man lifted his head, surprised that someone had come close. His eyes showed years of pain, hunger, and rejection. He looked ready to be ignored again, ready to be treated as if he was invisible. But Keanu's voice broke the silence. "How are you doing, my friend?" The words were soft, gentle, and respectful. There was no pity in his tone, no distance between himself and the man. He spoke as if he was speaking to someone he valued. The man blinked, struggling to answer. His voice cracked. Not good. But I'm still here." Keanu nodded, his eyes steady. He reached into his coat pocket, but instead of pulling out money right away, he first extended his hand. A handshake. The kind of simple gesture that most people would never offer to someone living on the streets. Ana's eyes widened. She had seen acts of charity before, but never like this. There was no grand show, no performance of kindness. This was silent, real, and human. The homeless man hesitated, then slowly lifted his trembling hand. Their palms met. It was more than a handshake. It was recognition. It was respect. After that, Keanu gently pulled out a folded bill, not large enough to make a show of wealth, but enough to buy a warm meal and maybe a safe bed for the night. He placed it quietly into the man's hand, closing the fingers around it. "Take care of yourself tonight," Keanu said softly. The man's lips trembled, and his eyes filled with tears he did not expect. He whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for seeing me." Ana felt her heart pound in her chest. She had worked with Keanu long enough to know he was kind, but what she was witnessing now was something deeper. It was not about giving money. It was about giving dignity, giving humanity to someone the world had chosen to ignore. But what shook her the most was the silence. He never tried to explain, never looked around to see if anyone was watching, never wanted anyone to notice. He simply stood, gave respect, and prepared to walk away as if it was nothing. Ana stepped closer, her voice low. "Keanu, you didn't have to stop." He glanced at her with a faint smile, his eyes gentle. "No one has to, but maybe that is the problem." The words hung in the air, heavy yet soft, like a truth that could not be denied. Anna had no reply. She just watched him, realizing she had just witnessed a moment she would never forget. And as the traffic roared on, as strangers hurried past without even looking, she knew this small O. The night of questions, the air was colder now, the kind of cold that presses into the skin and makes every breath visible. David had finished eating, his shoulders a little straighter, his face a little less heavy with despair. But in his eyes, there was still a quiet storm. Keanu noticed it, the way a man who has walked through his own storms notices the rain still falling on another. Anna stood nearby, her groceries still in her hands, her eyes fixed on the scene before her. She had seen kindness before, but not like this. Most people gave money and walked away, or gave food without looking into the eyes of the person they were helping. But Keanu was different. He was not giving only food. He was giving time, respect, and something much rarer, dignity. Anna finally stepped closer, her voice soft but carrying warmth. "May I sit too?" Keanu looked up at her, surprised, then nodded. David's eyes flickered with confusion. He had not expected one stranger to sit with him, let alone two. Yet here they were. Two people he had only seen in distant lights of cinema, now sitting in the shadows of his broken night. Anna placed her bag down and sat on the cold ground beside them. "What happened to you, David?" she asked gently. Her tone was not pity. It was curiosity, respect, almost as if his story mattered to her as much as anyone else's. David hesitated. His hands twisted together, his eyes darted between them. He had been invisible for so long, he had forgotten what it felt like to be asked about his life. "I had a job once," he began, his voice quiet. "I worked at a small workshop. I repaired furniture. I was good at it. People used to smile when they saw my work. But the workshop closed. The rent was too high. I lost it all. I tried to find another job, but no one wanted a man my age. Slowly, I lost my home. I lost friends. I even lost my family, because I could not give them what they needed." He paused, and his throat tightened. "And now, I am just here, forgotten." Anna's eyes welled with tears, but she blinked them away. Keanu reached out and placed a hand gently on David's shoulder. "You are not forgotten," he said firmly. "You are here. You are alive. And that means your story is not over." Those words sank into David like a stone dropping into still water, rippling through the silence. For the first time in months, he felt seen, not as a failure, not as a beggar, but as a man. Just then, a group of teenagers walked past. They noticed Keanu and Anna sitting on the ground with a homeless man. They stopped, whispering, some even laughing quietly. One of them raised his phone to take a picture. Keanu looked at them calmly and spoke, his voice steady. "Do not take his picture. Respect his dignity. He is a man, not an image for you to share." The teenagers froze, their smiles fading. Something in Keanu's tone carried a weight they could not laugh at. Slowly, they lowered the phone and walked away. Anna glanced at him, her heart filling with respect. She whispered, "You protect people even when no one notices." But Keanu shook his head. "I am not protecting him. I am protecting what we all share, our humanity. If we forget that, we lose everything." David looked at him in silence, tears now running freely down his cheeks. He had thought the world had turned cold, but in this single moment, warmth returned. And then, just when it felt like the night had found peace, a new sound broke it apart. Footsteps, fast, heavy, uneven. From the other end of the street, a man stumbled into view. His clothes were dirty, his face pale, and in his hand he carried a small broken bottle. His eyes were wild, desperate. He looked at David, then at Keanu and Anna, and shouted, "Get away from him! He owes me! He stole from me!" Anna gasped, her hand instinctively reaching for Keanu's arm. David froze, his body trembling. Keanu stood slowly, his calm never breaking, but his eyes sharp and steady on the man. "Who are you?" Keanu asked, his voice low but firm. The man's hand shook as he pointed the broken bottle toward David. "He took from me! He thinks he can hide, but I will take it back!" David shook his head violently. "No, no, I did not steal, I swear. He is lying. He wants money from me. He wants me to beg for him." Anna's heart pounded. The night had shifted from quiet kindness to dangerous tension. The shadows grew longer, the street colder, and in that moment, every breath carried the weight of what would happen next. Keanu took a step forward, placing himself between David and the man. "Put the bottle down," he said firmly. "We can talk." But the man's eyes burned with anger. "No talking. He pays tonight." Anna whispered, her voice trembling. "Keanu, be careful." The night had begun with kindness, but now it held danger, truth, and a test that would push them all beyond what they expected. The bottle and the truth. The street had fallen into silence, yet that silence was sharp, like glass waiting to break. The man with the broken bottle took another step forward, his hand shaking but his eyes full of rage. David pressed back against the wall, his breath heavy, his body trembling as if every memory of pain had returned in that instant. Anna's pulse raced, her fingers tightening around the grocery bag she still held. She wanted to move, to speak, to do something, but fear pinned her in place. Keanu remained calm. His voice carried a steady weight like a quiet river. "Listen to me. No one here is your enemy. Put the bottle down." The man laughed bitterly, a laugh that carried no joy. "You think you know him. You don't. This man is a thief. He takes, and people like me pay the price." David shook his head, his voice cracking. No, please. I never stole. I begged sometimes, but I never took from him. He wants to use me, to make me collect money for him. When I said no, he began following me." The stranger's face twisted with fury. "Liar! You belong to me. You live on my streets, I feed you scraps, and you repay me by spitting on my name." Anna's eyes widened. She finally understood. This was not about theft. This was about control, about cruelty disguised as ownership. Keanu's voice sharpened now, though it never lost its calm. "He is not yours. He is his own man. And tonight, he will walk free." The man roared in anger and raised the bottle higher. Anna gasped, stepping back instinctively. But Keanu did not move away. Instead, he stepped closer. The man's eyes flickered with uncertainty. There was something in Keanu's presence that was unshakable, something that could not be broken by threats. Still, desperation burned inside him. "You think you're some kind of savior," he growled, "but you don't know the streets like I do." Keanu held his gaze. "I know pain. I know loss. And I know that hurting another man does not erase your own suffering. It only chains you deeper to it." For a brief moment, the man hesitated. His hand shook, the bottle catching the streetlight, shining like a cruel fragment of fear. The silence stretched thin, so thin it could snap at any second. And then it did. A voice cut through the tension. Not Keanu's, not Anna's, not David's. It came from across the street. "Drop it!" They all turned. A police officer had arrived, drawn by the noise. His hand was on his holster, his eyes locked on the man. Another officer followed close behind. The man froze, his arm trembling harder now. David whispered, his voice filled with relief and fear at the same time. "They came. Thank God." The officer stepped forward, his tone firm. "Put the weapon down now." The man's face twisted, caught between fight and surrender. For a second it seemed he might resist, but then with a broken cry, he let the bottle fall. It clattered on the pavement, the sound echoing into the night. The officers moved quickly, taking hold of him, their voices commanding but controlled. The man struggled weakly, shouting curses, but his strength was gone. Within moments, he was led away, his voice fading into the distance. The silence that followed was heavy, almost unbearable. David's body sagged with exhaustion, tears spilling freely down his face. Anna dropped her groceries and rushed to his side, her hand on his arm. "It's over. You're safe now." But Keanu knew it was not truly over. Danger had left, but the scars of fear remained. He looked at David and spoke gently. "You are not alone anymore. Tonight proved that." David nodded weakly, his voice broken. "I thought I was finished. I thought no one cared. But you stayed." Anna added softly, her voice trembling with emotion. "We both stayed, and we will not leave you here." Her words carried a weight Keanu felt deeply. This was no longer just about one act of kindness. It had become something larger, something that connected them all in ways they could not yet see. Keanu looked into David's tired eyes, then at Anna's steady gaze, and in that moment he understood something. Sometimes the world gave you a chance to change one life, and by changing one life, you might change many. But he also knew this was only the beginning. There were questions to face, choices to make, and an unexpected path waiting ahead. Anna broke the silence first. "He cannot stay on these streets. Not after tonight." Keanu nodded. "You're right. We'll find a way." David looked between them, disbelief in his eyes. Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me." Keanu smiled softly, though his eyes carried a depth that only came from pain and experience. "Because once, someone did the same for me, and it saved me." Anna's breath caught at his words. She wanted to ask, but she saw the shadow in his eyes, the unspoken stories of loss and resilience. She realized this night was not only about David's truth, it was about Keanu's as well. And as the three of them stood together beneath the cold glow of the streetlights, a bond was formed. Fragile, unexpected, but unbreakable. What none of them knew was that this bond would soon be tested by forces far beyond a broken bottle or a desperate man. Shadows of the past. The night had grown deep, and the city lights flickered like tired stars. After the police left, the street was quieter than before, yet the silence felt heavy. David leaned against the cold wall, his body weak but his spirit strangely lighter. Anna stayed close to him, offering steady comfort. Keanu stood a little apart, his eyes lost in thought. He remembered his own nights of loneliness, the times when grief had followed him like a shadow. He remembered losing his father young, losing his best friend, and losing his daughter before she could even open her eyes to the world. Those wounds never healed fully. They became a part of him, shaping the way he saw others who suffered. Anna noticed the faraway look in his eyes. She stepped closer, her voice gentle. "You spoke earlier. You said someone once saved you. What did you mean?" Keanu hesitated. He did not often share his private pain, but the night demanded honesty, and David's story had opened something inside him. He sat down again on the pavement, his hands resting loosely on his knees. "Many years ago," he began, his voice quiet, "I lost almost everything I loved. I felt empty, like the world had no meaning. One night, when I was wandering the city, I sat on a bench for hours. I didn't care if I ever stood again. I just wanted to disappear. Then an old man came and sat beside me. He didn't ask who I was. He didn't ask why I was broken. He simply gave me a cup of coffee and said, "The night feels endless, but morning always comes." Keanu's eyes softened, remembering. He stayed with me until sunrise. He spoke very little, but his presence kept me alive that night. I never saw him again, but I never forgot what he gave me. Hope. Anna listened with her heart in her throat. David wiped at his tears, whispering, "So, now you are that man. To me." Keanu shook his head slowly. "I am only passing forward what was once given to me." The weight of his words lingered in the cold air. Anna felt something stir inside her. She had admired him before as a colleague, as an actor, as a friend. But this moment revealed something deeper, his true soul, shaped not by fame but by suffering, humility, and kindness. Suddenly, David spoke again, his voice low but urgent. "You must understand. The man who threatened me tonight was not acting alone. There are others like him. They control corners of this city. They take from the weak, from those like me who have nothing. If you stand with me, you may draw their anger too." Anna tensed, her eyes flashing with worry. "You mean there will be more of them?" David nodded. "They think they own these streets. I refused to be their servant, and since then they have made my life hell." Keanu's jaw tightened, but his tone stayed calm. "Then it is not just about helping you tonight. It is about breaking that chain of cruelty. No one should live under fear." Anna looked at him, concern in her eyes. "But this could become dangerous. You can walk away, Keanu. You don't have to fight this battle." He turned to her, his voice steady. "If I walk away, then I am no better than those who looked past David earlier. I have lived through loss. I know the weight of silence. I will not leave him to carry it alone." David's lips trembled, his eyes filling again. "Why? Why risk so much for me?" Keanu placed a hand on his shoulder. "Because your life has value. Because the world needs to be reminded that every person matters. And because kindness means little if it disappears when things become hard." Anna's heart swelled with emotion, though fear still lingered at the edges. She whispered, "Then we must find a way to keep him safe." Keanu nodded. "First, we need to get him off these streets. Tonight cannot end with him back on the same corner." Anna thought quickly. "There's a small guest house I know. The owner is kind. I'll speak to him. He may allow David to stay for a while." Hope flickered in David's eyes, faint but real. "A bed, a roof. After so long, is that truly possible?" Anna smiled softly. "Yes, you deserve at least that much." They began walking together, the three of them moving slowly through the quiet streets. David's steps were unsteady, but Keanu stayed close, ready to catch him if he stumbled. Anna walked on his other side, her presence strong and reassuring. For the first time in years, David felt like he belonged somewhere, even if it was only between two strangers who refused to let him fall. But as they walked deeper into the night, shadows moved in the distance. Figures watched from alleys, unseen but not absent. Eyes followed them with quiet malice, carrying whispers of the trouble yet to come. Anna did not notice. David was too tired to sense it, but Keanu did. His instincts, sharpened by life's harsh lessons, caught the faint movements. He said nothing, but inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The kindness of tonight had lit a fire, and there were those in the dark who would try to put it out. The watchers in the dark. The guest house was only a few streets away, but the walk felt longer than miles. David leaned heavily on Keanu's arm, his body weak, his mind still shaken. Anna stayed close, her eyes scanning the streets nervously. She wanted to believe they were safe now, but a quiet tension hung in the air, the kind that pressed against the skin and warned of danger. Keanu felt it too. Every sense inside him was alert. His eyes caught faint movements in the alleys, shadows that seemed to follow, then vanish, only to appear again further down the road. He kept his voice calm, not wanting to alarm David, but inside he knew they were not walking alone. At last, the small guest house came into view. Its sign was old, its paint faded, but a warm light glowed in the front window. Anna's heart eased a little. "There," she whispered. "Just a few more steps." But before they could reach the door, 3 figures stepped out from the shadows, blocking their path. Their faces were hard, their clothes rough, their eyes sharp with hostility. One of them, taller than the rest, spoke with a sneer. "Look at this. The lost dog found himself new masters." He pointed at David. "You thought you could run, but we own these streets." David froze, his whole body trembling. "Please, not tonight. Please." Keanu stepped in front of him, his voice firm but steady. "He does not belong to you. Step aside." The tall man laughed bitterly. "And who are you to tell us that? Some hero playing savior. You don't know how things work here. People like him survive because of us. He owes us for every crumb he has eaten." Anna's voice broke with anger. "You feed him fear, not food. You don't help him live. You keep him down so you can feel powerful." The man's smile faded. "Watch your mouth, lady. This isn't your fight." Keanu's eyes locked on his, calm but unshakable. "Then make it mine. If you want to harm him, you'll have to go through me first." The silence that followed was sharp. The 3 men shifted uneasily, but their pride would not let them step back. The tall man raised his hand, signaling the others. "Then so be it." The first of them lunged forward, grabbing for David. But Keanu moved quickly, pulling David back while stepping between them. His movements were not violent, only protective, as if his presence alone could shield David. "Enough," Keanu said, his voice cutting through the night. "You don't need to do this. Walk away while you still can." The men hesitated. Something in his tone, in his eyes, made them falter, but anger and pride pushed them forward again. Anna's hands shook, but she stepped closer too. "If you hurt him, the world will know. This city isn't blind. People are watching." And in that moment it was true. A window across the street opened, and someone peered out. A car slowed, its driver staring. Eyes were beginning to gather, unseen witnesses drawn by the tension. The tall man cursed under his breath. He did not like the attention. He did not like losing control. He leaned closer, his voice low but filled with warning. "This isn't over. You can hide him for a night, but we will find him again. And when we do, no one will stop us." With that, he gestured to his men, and they melted back into the shadows. David collapsed against the wall, his chest heaving. "They won't stop. They never stop." Keanu steadied him, his hand firm on his shoulder. "Then we don't stop either. We stand. We keep going. And we show them that kindness will not be broken by cruelty." Anna nodded, her eyes fierce. "You're not alone anymore, David. Not ever again." Together, they helped him into the guest house. The owner, a kind-faced man, welcomed them inside without hesitation. He led David to a small room with a bed, a blanket, and a single lamp that glowed warmly. When David sat down, tears fell freely from his eyes. "I don't remember the last time I slept in a bed. I don't remember the last time I felt safe. Keanu knelt beside him. Tonight, you rest. Tomorrow, we begin again. Anna placed her hand gently over David's. We will help you rebuild, step by step, piece by piece. David's voice broke as he whispered, Thank you. Thank you both. I don't deserve this, but thank you. Keanu's eyes softened. Everyone deserves a chance, and this is yours. For the first time in many years, David closed his eyes with hope in his heart. Yet outside, the streets remained restless. The shadows whispered, and those who had threatened him tonight were already planning their return. The light that stayed morning came slowly, with soft sunlight breaking through the curtains of the small guest house. David opened his eyes, blinking at the warm glow. For a moment he thought it was a dream. The bed beneath him, the blanket wrapped around him, the quiet safety of the room. It felt unreal. He had grown so used to the cold concrete of the streets that comfort itself seemed strange. Keanu and Anna were already awake, sitting quietly near the small table in the corner. They spoke in low voices, but when they saw David stir, both of them smiled gently. Good morning, Anna said softly. How do you feel? David sat up slowly, his body still weak, but his heart lighter. Like I woke in another world, he whispered. Keanu poured him a cup of tea and handed it to him. This is not another world, he said. It is still the same one, but now you are no longer alone in it. David held the cup in his trembling hands, his eyes glistening. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to, Keanu replied simply. Just live. That will be thanks enough. But peace never lasts long when darkness lingers outside. By noon, word had spread through the streets. The men who had threatened David the night before had returned. This time they were not hiding in shadows. They came in numbers, their voices loud, their presence heavy. They demanded to know where David was. The guest house owner rushed upstairs, fear in his eyes. They are outside, he whispered urgently. They are calling for him. I don't want trouble, but I won't send him out either. David's face went pale. His hands clutched the blanket tightly. They won't stop, he said. They will destroy this place too. Keanu stood, his calm unshaken. Then we face them here. Together. Anna rose beside him, her voice steady though her heart pounded. We will not let them take you back into fear. They walked downstairs, with David following slowly behind. Outside, a crowd had gathered. The three men from the night before stood at the front, but now others surrounded them. The tall leader pointed when he saw David. There he is, the beggar who thought he could escape us, and the fools who think they can save him. Keanu stepped forward, his voice clear and strong. This ends today. You have no claim over him. You never did. The leader sneered. And what will you do to stop us? Fight us all. You don't know how deep our reach goes. Anna's voice rang out, firm and fearless. Your reach only works in silence, but silence is broken now. People are watching. The world is watching. Indeed, windows around the street had opened. Neighbors stood at doorways. A few people had already pulled out their phones, recording every word. The cruelty that once thrived in the shadows was now dragged into the light. The tall man's anger boiled, but his control was slipping. He lunged forward, but Keanu did not move back. Instead, he spoke, his voice cutting like truth itself. You think power comes from fear, but real power comes from respect, from kindness, from lifting people up, not pushing them down. Look around you. Every person here can see who you really are, and when light shines, darkness loses. The man froze, his rage colliding with the weight of those words. His followers shifted uneasily, their loyalty shaken. They could see the eyes of the crowd, the cameras, the judgment falling upon them. Finally, with a growl of frustration, the leader spat on the ground and turned away. "This isn't over," he muttered, but his voice carried no strength. One by one, the others followed him, melting back into the alleys, but this time not with the pride of control. They left with the shame of defeat. The crowd remained silent for a moment. Then slowly people began to nod, to whisper, to look at David with something new: respect. David's knees weakened, tears filling his eyes. He turned to Keanu and Anna, his voice breaking. "They are gone, truly gone. I never thought I would see this day." Keanu placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are free, David. But freedom is not just the absence of chains. It is the chance to build again. And that is what you will do." Anna smiled, her eyes bright with emotion. "You will not build alone. We will help you." David wept openly now, not with despair, but with the overwhelming weight of hope. For the first time in years, he saw a path ahead. Not just survival, but life. The days that followed were not easy, but they were different. David found shelter at the guest house. Anna connected him with a community program that offered work. Keanu stayed close, checking on him, encouraging him, reminding him of his worth. Slowly, David began to change. His shoulders lifted. His eyes grew clearer. He repaired furniture again, and people began to notice his skill. His hands, once trembling from hunger and fear, now created beauty. One evening, as the sun set, David sat outside the guest house with Keanu and Anna. His voice was steady, filled with quiet pride. "I never thought I would feel human again. But you gave me that. You gave me my life back." Keanu smiled softly, looking at him. "We didn't give you your life. It was always yours. You just needed someone to remind you." Anna added gently, "And now you can remind others." The three of them sat in silence for a while, watching the colors of the sky fade into night. But the silence was no longer heavy. It was peaceful. In that moment, David realized something powerful: that kindness had not only saved him, it had changed everything around him. One act, one decision, had broken chains of cruelty and replaced them with light. And as Keanu looked at David and Anna watched them both, they knew this truth together. Kindness does not end with one act. It ripples forward, touching lives unseen, reaching places unknown, and lighting paths yet to come.